I call to order the regular meeting of the Lakewood City Council of December 8th, 2014. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Murphy?
Here.
Docty? Roybal?
Here.
Johnson?
Here.
Quinn?
Here.
Hall?
Here.
Coop?
Here.
Fairway? Helen?
Here.
Wickman? Harrison?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. And Councilor Barraway will be along a little bit later. She has a commitment to a graduation of her daughter tonight, so she'll be along shortly. As always, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you sincerely for choosing to take part in your local government by coming out to be with us tonight at City Council chambers or watching us at home on Comcast Channel 8 or live streamed on the city's website. We do have a pretty good-sized crowd here. Thank you again. I would just like to remind everyone to turn off all phones and any other sort of sound-making devices that we might have with us. I just got one of those new speakers for my iPad, so that's one I've got to remember to turn off myself. And again, I sincerely welcome everyone. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. So tonight we have the pleasure of starting off with a number of proclamations and presentations talking about and indeed honoring a lot of the great works that are going on here in the community of Lakewood. And if the clerk would please read item 4 into the record.
Item 4, proclamation, socket tuum, socks donation.
Thank you. This is something that, I'm a member of an organization called the Metro Mayor's Caucus, 41 mayors in the Denver metropolitan region. I think virtually all cities are taking part in this campaign and reading their proclamations on their city council meeting tonight or tomorrow night. So I would ask Council President Scott Coop to read the proclamation, and we'll talk about it a little bit.
Proclamation recognizing December 10th, 2014 as Socket Tuum Workday. Whereas the Socket Tuum Sock campaign began in Denver in 2011 and has spread to cities throughout the United States. And whereas socks are the #1 clothing item needed by the homeless because they wear out their socks faster than any other article of clothing, and socks are rarely donated to organizations helping the homeless. And whereas the Socket Tuum Sock campaign has kicked off its 4th annual effort to provide warm socks to homeless people in Metro Denver. The campaign started on Thanksgiving Day and will continue to collect socks through December 31st, 2014. And whereas the campaign has designated December 10th, 2014 as Socket Tuum Workday, which is a day when residents are asked to forego wearing socks as a show of support for the homeless and to recognize the great need for socks for homeless people. And whereas Lakewood fully and strongly supports this effort and encourages our residents to participate by going to work sockless and by donating socks to organizations serving the homeless. Now, therefore, on behalf of the City Council and the people of the City of Lakewood, Colorado, I, Bob Murphy, Mayor of the City of Lakewood, Colorado, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim December 10th, 2014 as Socket Tuum Workday in the City of Lakewood, Colorado, given under my hand and seal of the City of Lakewood on this 8th day of December 2014.
Thank you, Scott. Well, I think the proclamation is pretty self-explanatory. Here in Lakewood, because of the initiative of Margie in our city clerk's office, you can actually bring your donated socks here to the city clerk's office. We'll make sure they get over to the Action Center. You can obviously bring them to the Action Center, also to Family Tree, which is at 3805 Marshall Street up in Wheat Ridge. And then finally you can visit the website, Socket Tuum, not Socket to me, SocketTuum, .org. Those of us in my generation, right? Rowan and Martin. And you can click on Donations tab to find the other locations in the metro area for donated socks. I think this is really really a cool way to bring awareness to a very, very important issue. And you know what? I think it's going to be pretty warm on Wednesday, so please go sockless to work. Many of us will be doing the same. Thank you. Will the clerk please read item 5 into the record?
Item 5, presentation, bicycle-friendly community recognition.
And I'd like to ask Mike Raber from Bike Jeffco and Gary Hardy with Bicycle Lakewood are already here. And I'd also like to ask Jefferson County Commissioner Casey Ty to come on down. I'll just turn it over to you.
Mayor and City Council members, this is a significant award. It's awarded by the League of American Bicyclists, and it is a very challenging award to achieve. Lakewood has achieved it twice now, and this is the first of several awards, bronze level, that designates that Lakewood has complied with all the requirements by the League of American Bicyclists, including street improvements, bicycle-friendly community, and a number of participations on things like the West Rail Line for bicycle laneage and various things. To keep this fairly short, this is very significant, and we're here to help you achieve the silver level, which is the next level. And part of the way we're doing this is Gary Hardy has stepped up as part of an offshoot of Bike Jeffco of forming the Lakewood Bicycle Advocacy Group. And that is required for you to take the next step to silver level. So this is significant, and also Commissioner Ty has assisted in promoting Jefferson County to apply for bicycle-friendly county community. And so, anyway, we're very happy to do this.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let me get over
Gary.
and maybe relieve Gary of some of the burden and get Casey in the picture. Just show up and get in the picture.
I just want to say congratulations. I'd like to say congratulations, and once again, Lakewood's showing to be a leader in the area. And this is something that Jefferson County is going to aspire to, and we're going to learn from what you guys have already done. I've ridden my bicycle in Lakewood on the bike paths, and it is a great community, and so congratulations, job well done.
Thank you. You know, there's a few things I want to say about this. First, thank you very much. I also want to thank a number of other people, starting obviously with our staff. I think I saw John Payden here from our traffic department, and you know, bicycling is really about mobility, about offering mobility options to members of our community and the region. And we certainly have been making a lot of efforts to build more bike paths, create more designated bike lanes, and that sort of thing. And I think it's important. In a way, it shows the commitment of both council and staff that we've achieved this award for the second year in a row without, as other communities have, sort of a designated specialist or staff person in the bicycle arena, if I can use that word. So it just goes to show how committed so many members of this organization are to cycling. We do have a bicycle master plan. We're gonna keep taking strides. We're gonna keep trying to get better. We've done a lot of good things, a lot of great things. I think maybe in some ways the most significant and the most obvious thing we did in the last 5 or 6 years was add the width to the light rail bridges on Kipling and Wadsworth. We added 13 feet in width to create an above-grade path for that D10 bike, above-grade option for that D10 bike path. That's really a commuting route from Lakewood and places further west to downtown Denver. So that's an investment we made, not just for bicycling, but obviously for public safety. So we remain committed. We've got a bicycle master plan. And for those of you that haven't seen it, this has been out for, I don't know, a year and a half or so, but we have a bike and recreation map that's really, really cool. It's got all of our bike paths and bikeways on it. So it's available free through our Community Resources Department. So again, thank you very much. All right, will the clerk please read the next item into the record?
Item 6, presentation Lakewood Historical Society essay contest.
And I think Art Rittenhouse is there. There you are. Come on down and take over, Art. Come on right here.
All right. Well, all right. I don't mind taking center stage.
Good.
Well, we're here tonight to award the winners of our essay contest, and there are 6 winners. We have 2 categories, the adult category and the youth category. And not only that, there's some special relationships within the winners. We have a father and son and a sister and brother who were winners in our contest. So I assume they're ready to start wandering down here. We'll start with Grace Wagner. And the rest of you might as well get in line here so we can talk to you all.
Talk a little bit about it.
That's the winner's check. That's the winner's check in the small envelope, and the certificate in the big one, acknowledging your participation in our contest.
Can we talk a little bit about the topic of the essay?
Say again?
The topic of the essay?
All right. This first place winner for $700, the Jewish Consumptive Relief Society, which shortened as JCRS, which most of you know the letters but may not have known the words. And Grace is a student at Arapahoe Community College and has attended numerous writing conferences and is currently working on her second novel. And then there's Troy Seat. And that's what it says on the label. Troy was our second place winner with a $600 prize for A City in Transition. Troy has lived in unincorporated Jefferson County since 1972. He served in the U.S. Navy during the Vietnam War and then worked in the state of Colorado Department of Labor and Employment for 30 years. Since 2005, his writings have appeared in anthologies and newspapers. I think my front side looks better than my back side. Now, honorable mention in the adult category is Sean Jones. Unfortunately, and we wouldn't mind some help with this, we don't have a cash award for the honorable mention, but the title is Lakewood and Her Sisters. Sean grew up in Golden, has traveled extensively, served as an exchange student in West Germany in 1984, and translated foreign languages in the United States Army. And now for the youth category is Kalen Shull, I believe it is. First place winner, $400 for the Colorado Christian University, a century of education that found its home in Lakewood. Kalen is 16 years old and a junior at Lakewood High School and swims and does track and plays the viola. And since you went to Lakewood High, I know you'll know the difference between the check and the certificate. I'm from Lakewood High, class of 56. And our second place winner is Andrew Jones, $300 award for White Fence Farm. Andrew is the son of Sean Jones, who we've already met. He's 11 years old and a sixth grader at Hutchinson Elementary School. Soccer is his favorite sport, and he's a U.S. soccer referee. Hurry and get out of the spotlight when you've got it. And our honorable mention in the youth category goes to Isaac Scholl, the Rise of Belmar and the Fall of Villa Italia. Isaac, brother of Kalen Shell, is 14 years old, a freshman at Lakewood High, and he plays baseball and basketball. He found the subject of Belmar and Villa Italia very interesting. Thank you, Mayor.
I just want to add, this is something I look forward to every year, and weren't those wonderful topics, the rise of Belmar and the fall of Villa Italia. I love that. No, we appreciate everything you do, and this is a contest that every year certainly puts a spotlight on the great legacy and history and heritage of Lakewood. We appreciate it. Will the clerk please read the next item into the record?
Item 7, presentation, Friends of Paha.
And I would ask Ashley Perillo to come on down. Take over. Ringmaster.
Good evening. I'd like to recognize two of my fellow board members who joined me tonight. This is Darcy Coy and Julie Osborne. I'd like to take just a second to talk to you about Friends of Paha, which is a nonprofit organization run by a board of volunteers comprised of 8 dedicated individuals that raises money for Camp Paha and Paha Adults in Transition. Both are summer day camps for children and young adults with disabilities. Without this camp, many of these campers would be stuck at home for the summer. This camp is life-changing for campers and their families because it provides an opportunity for campers to build friendships and have fun in a safe environment. Camp Paha and Paha Adults in Transition are the only summer day camp options for individuals with disabilities in the metro area. This summer, 82 campers had an experience of a lifetime at camp. Friends of Paha builds awareness of Camp Paha and Paha adults in transition by inspiring compassion in the community to support campers and their families. Our fundraising efforts include applying for grants, soliciting corporate and private donations, employee giving campaigns, reloadable grocery store gift cards, and hosting our annual fundraising event in May of each year. The funds we are donating tonight were used to sponsor field trips, purchase art and activity supplies, and used to purchase items from the camp's wish list. This year, new equipment was purchased for the sensory room. Additionally, we supported 7 campers through our campership program, which provides partial and full camp tuition scholarships. On behalf of the Friends of Paha Board, we are proud to present the City of Lakewood with a donation of $29,820 from our fundraising efforts this year.
You know, I would argue that so many great things that this city does. This is right at the top of the list. The services we provide, help provide. We couldn't do it without you. But as you said, for all those kids with disabilities, it's the only option in the Denver metro area. And if you've seen it, you will never forget it. And it's our privilege to partner with you. As I say, we couldn't do it without you. So thank you. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. Well, as I said, it's really it's one of those evenings where we get to celebrate and honor so many of the great things that go on in our community here in Lakewood. Will the clerk please read item 8 into the record?
Item 8, Resolution 2014-38, appointing and reappointing members to the Lakewood Advisory Commission for an Inclusive Community.
And I would ask Council President Coop to read the matter into the record.
Mayor Murphy, I move for the adoption of Resolution 2014-38, appointing Lakewood residents Ronald Jones, Henry Kohler, and Laura Stevens, and also reappointing Lakewood residents John Danahay, John DeAngelis, and Cindy Girk to the Advisory Commission for an Inclusive Community.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I'm not sure if anyone is here. Oh, there you are, right in front of me with the lights. Sorry. Well, thank you for being here tonight, and obviously thank you for your willingness to serve. We appreciate it very much. You serve a vital role. We just spent an hour with Gay and a few others on the sustainability committee just a little bit ago this afternoon. All right, we have a motion and a second on appointing and reappointing members to our ACIC. Please cast your votes. And the motion passes unanimously. Thank you again. Okay, this is public comment, which is the point in the meeting where the public is invited to address City Council on items that are not on the agenda. Again, not on the agenda. And as always, we ask that you try to limit the comments to 3 minutes. As you come down here, you'll see a green light on the lectern that will stay green for 2.5 minutes. When it glows yellow, you'll know that you have 30 seconds left. When it glows red, your 3 minutes are up, at which time we would ask you to wrap up your comments. And we'll go by, first we'll first call down folks that indicated a desire to speak by signing up on the roster and then open it up to anyone else. First is James Mace. Mr. Mace. Take your time, James.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I'm here tonight because I have a couple of comments. My comments are with the police department and RTD. I have also noticed that our Lakewood PD is writing more tickets. Hold on a second now.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
James, take your time.
Okay. I have noticed that the police department is writing more RTD tickets than what they should be, my opinion. And I have also noticed that in my area there has been a ton more crime. I've had to run numerous homeless people out of the laundry room over where I live, time and time again. And the other day, I also had somebody try to kick in my front door. I called Lakewood. The dispatcher did more than the agents did. And Mayor, I understand that Lakewood's doing the best they can in that area. I know that for a fact. But at the same time, us as citizens, that area is getting a little bit more dangerous. And I've tried to clean up the area with the trash, and also one of my friends who is here tonight has also tried to clean up the area. I would really appreciate it if Lakewood would ask the police department to step up patrols in that area time and time again. And if this happens, it continues to happen, where people are kicking in doors and stuff like that, I would really ask that the city step in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mace.
Mayor, before you call the next person, let me get out of the way, please.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Okay, Patrick Dickman, please.
Good evening. One of the things I want to address is the broken glass bottles that, I'm too afraid the kids to get hurt on West Colfax and Kendall, right near the vacant building, JCRS Shopping Center. One of the things I like to, see if we can do is get all kinds of trash bags together and have the city of Lakewood drop them off at James's house with something to pick them up with, like a grabber or something, and a broom. I'll be more than happy to go over there every other day to make sure all the glass is picked up so nobody gets hurt. And the other thing I want to, see if patrols can do in that area is step patrols up in the area for the homeless and all the fighting in JCRS, all the graffiti, all the broken business windows, and most certainly behind JCRS Shopping Center. That whole area is, I consider that the waste management drop-off site. It looks like a trash yard. And the other thing I want to try to see if we can all do is just actually the same thing as clean up the area. It's all I care about. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out. We appreciate it. Bill Marino.
Good evening.
Good evening, Bill.
I love hearing people talk about West Colfax. And there's both good and bad out there, but I'm here today not with a PowerPoint, but primarily just to say thank you. For you all taking the time to come out for the workshop to learn more about 40 West Arts, what we're doing to try to improve West Colfax, the progress that we've made, the plans that are in the works. It meant a lot to all of the volunteers that are spending their free time trying to move that community forward. I've certainly spoken to many groups since then and shared the fact that, staff and city council coming out meant a great deal to a lot of them. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I also want to say thank you for taking the opportunity not only to learn about 40 West Arts, but to have taken the opportunity with an executive from ArtSpace in town to have her provide a presentation about the catalytic impact that an ArtSpace project has for the communities that they serve across the country. That nonprofit developer of live workspace for artists is a game changer for communities. And to be able to take a half an hour or 45 minutes and really listen to what ArtSpace has to say, I think really speaks to the commitment of the council and the city to see that project on to the next step. For those of you that may not have been 100% plugged into the process, started with a feasibility study, moved from that into focus groups and stakeholder groups, from there to a market demand study, and then all in all, over the last nearly 2 years, more than 500 citizens have been involved in that ArtSpace due diligence process. And the hope is that we can all continue to work together to bring that project to the Lakewood arts community. 2 other quick updates. I know that I took your time and kind of gave you as much as you could swallow in our last gathering, but the last young man just mentioned formerly JCRS, now Lamar Station Plaza. If you haven't been there lately, I encourage you to drive by. Yes, there's still problems. Yes, there's lots to do. But there's work being done to that old, aging shopping center. A portion of the parking lot is torn up. Repaving is taking place. New median and landscaping areas are being put in. So the progress is starting at that 1950s vintage shopping center. In addition to those improvements, one of the new anchor tenants that they've signed, in addition to the long-term lease that Casa Bonita signed that'll keep them there for the next 2 generations, Planet Fitness also signed, and we've partnered with them, and they've opened their pre-sale center. They should open sometime later this month with a grand opening in January, but we've partnered with them in their sales center to create a vision center. And that vision center tells the story not only of that shopping center, but of 40 West Arts and the vision for the corridor. So there's flat screen TVs, there's material to help share with the community what we all as a community hope West Colfax can be. Next, if you're in the corridor, the old Lakewood Lanes building, formerly Document Solutions, that was purchased by the Abo Group, we've partnered with the Abo Group to create the first of its kind sculpture gallery in 40 West Arts. 128 different sculptures were submitted for consideration, and we narrowed it down to 12 different sculptures, and they're all being installed right now. If you're in the area, stop by. It's a stunning creative venue, a historic building with a new 3D sculpture gallery at 8025 West Colfax. In closing, again, just thank you. It meant a lot for you to come out to our neck of the woods, to sit down at 40 West Arts Gallery, to learn a little more about what we're doing, and also to drill into the whole ArtSpace project process. Our hope, the 500 people that have participated in that process along the way, all hope we can continue to work together to build the partnerships needed to bring an arts-based project here to Lakewood. It's a catalytic impact. It's a game changer, and it will really put the arts and creative initiatives that we've worked so hard to give it the sustainability it needs to have a center for artists to live and work. Finally, I'd just like to add a quick thank you. With Colorado Gives Day coming tomorrow, I want to thank you. A couple of you have already made your donation, and I would certainly encourage anybody to give to 40 West Arts on Colorado Gives Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Joni Inman. Wow. Welcome.
Before I start on what I'm officially here for, though, Mayor, I'd like to let you know that I was at the Arvada City Council meeting last week when they were doing the socket to resolution. And Mayor Williams took his socks off and put his feet up on the dais. So I was a little disappointed in your presentation here today.
You know, I'm sure Mayor Williams, let me put it this way, I'm surprised that's all Mayor Williams did.
I was expecting more. I don't know. I'm here tonight representing a new grassroots organization called the Jeffco Energy Action Project, and I serve as the chairperson of that. Now, you don't really think about Jefferson County as the hotbed of the oil and gas industry, but I want to let you know that there are, in fact, about 2,000 direct jobs related to the oil and gas industry here in Jefferson County, 142 firms in Jeffco. And among them, by the way, are firms like Buree Consulting and Academy Park, which is internationally known for improvements to well performance. We ranked number 7 in the state, higher than Douglas or Adams in Colorado for direct oil and gas wages. $99.6 million of direct wages come into Jefferson County and go out of Jefferson County and stay in Jefferson County and stimulate the economy as a result of oil and gas. That's $152 million when you add support services in. So you can see the impact on our local economy. We rank 5 in average wages in the industry. The average wage in Jefferson County related to oil and gas is over $100,000. We advocate for domestic production because it keeps prices low, which has a direct impact on the municipal budget. Think about the cost of heating municipal buildings, the fleet costs, the asphalt costs, the water pipes, fertilizer, all use petroleum-based products. And most importantly, of course, the golf balls at the golf courses are petroleum-based products. Now, this group isn't against alternatives. In many cases, the alternative energy and the traditional oil and gas energy products are codependent. Think about the PV sheets that cover solar cells. Think about the fiberglass wind turbines that are lubricated with petroleum products. And there was a company in Lakewood called Wellmasters that started in the 80s. They were here for 28 years and have just moved to Golden, and they create artificial lifts for oil wells, and they use green technology in creating the lifts. So it's a really terrific codependent situation. I've provided for you through the city clerk some information packets, and I've also provided to you some information on the group's first Fast Facts Forum, which is December 30th at the Lakewood Heritage Center. So you should have that document as well. All we wanted to do today was tell you about the group, raise some awareness, and ask you to like us on Facebook so you know what's going on. It's a pleasure being here with you this evening.
Thanks, Joni. Great to see you.
See you.
All right. Anyone else in chambers wish to comment on a non-agenda item? Come on down. Beautiful. Yeah.
Again, I'm Gary Hardy. I'm a Ward 3 resident living at 6014 West Colorado Lane. As you know, Lakewood is heavily involved in doing its second comprehensive plan to guide Lakewood for the next 10 years, and as a part of that is the sustainability plan. I've had the opportunity to work with Jonathan Wachtel and Lynn Coppage on the sustainable transportation part of that sustainability plan, and I just want to thank you for your interest and your support of the comprehensive plan. And if there's any way I can partner with you, I've already told Jonathan and Lynn that I'm really ready to roll up my sleeves and help out with the implementation as we move forward. And I have a few members of our new advocacy group in the back who are here and also would like to help us move forward and partner with you. So again, thank you. Thank you for your time and your interest.
Gary, thank you. I apologize. Your name was on the public comment list, so thank you. All right. Anyone else? All right. With that, we will close public comment. Councilor Wickman and then Councilor Koop.
I wanted to thank Jody and her group for the great work that you're doing. If you may recall, I'm a retired federal employee, and during my career, I worked for the Department of Interior, and the agency that I was in nationally oversaw the management of the royalty system for oil and gas. And I don't know if they included in your figures, but we probably have 800 employees here in the Denver Federal Center. And we basically brought in billions of dollars every year. I can't remember how much, but billions every year to the federal government from royalties. And then finally, both of my daughters graduated from the School of Mines as engineers, and they're both working for oil companies. So good job.
Thanks. Councilor Koop.
Yes, I'd like to go back to what Mr. Marino was talking about, and that was a tremendous study session that we had last week. And all the information was tremendous. I was worn out by the time everybody got finished telling us everything that's going along the corridor. So I was interested, is there anything that we can do as a council to help this process move in them getting the support that they need from staff that they have been getting? I assume that they have been getting support in the past up to this point for moving the art space project along.
Yeah. Let me suggest, normally at the end of study sessions, we have a process of moving an item forward, and obviously with off-site workshops, we don't have that same process. So perhaps in this case, if you'd want to consider making a motion of some sort under general business.
I would do that?
Yeah. Under general business.
Directing staff to continue?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great. Thank you, Scott. Anyone else? All right. Let's move on to the consent agenda. The use of the consent agenda has been made to expedite council action. It contains tonight just resolutions, no first reading ordinances. Resolutions are normally items of a routine nature, and members of the public will have an opportunity in a moment to comment on any of the proposed resolutions. Any council member may request an item on the consent agenda be removed for separate discussion and action under general business. Will the clerk please read the items on the consent agenda into the record?
The consent agenda consists of items 10 through 16 inclusive. Item 10, Resolution 2014-39, authorizing the adoption of the First Amendment to the Lakewood Employees Money Purchase Pension Plan and Trust Agreement, amended and restated effective January 1st, 2014. Item 11, Resolution 2014-40, updating the City of Lakewood 3-mile plan for annexations. Item 12, Resolution 2014-41, approving an employment agreement between the City of Lakewood and the City Manager and authorizing the City Employee Relations Director and City Finance Director to implement all provisions of the employment agreement. Item 13, Resolution 2014-42, establishing certain water fees for customers of the City of Lakewood Water Utility. Item 14, Resolution 2014-43, establishing certain sewer fees for customers of the City of Lakewood Sewer Utility. Item 15, approving minutes of the regular City Council meetings of October 27th and November 10th, and the special City Council meeting December 1st, all 2014. And item 16, accepting the minutes of the Advisory Commission for Inclusive Communities Executive Committee meeting of October 1st, their full commission meetings of September 17th and October 15th, all 2014, and the Lakewood Planning Commission meeting minutes of November 5th, 2014.
Thank you. And we do have a presentation. Oh, Councilor Wickman.
I was going to ask for withdrawal of item 12.
Withdrawal?
What's the expression? Pull. That's the word I was looking for.
Sure. All right. Item 12 will be dealt with under general business. We do have a presentation on item 13 and 14. So I'd ask City Engineer Ann Hine to come forward. And although these are two separate items, they will be voted on concurrently on the consent agenda, but we're going to have a presentation to the community what this all is all about.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy, Council. My name is Ann Hine. I am the City Engineer in the Public Works Department. I do have a combined presentation on items 13 and 14. You do have two resolutions because the utilities are operated as separate enterprises. That means that no general fund money goes into the utilities and no utility revenue comes out into the general fund. And there's no commingling of revenues between the two utilities. The rates that we charge the customers of the utilities have to cover all the expenses of the utilities. So setting rates every year is a pretty important task. And to help us with that, in 2009, we undertook a comprehensive rate study that looked out 6 years till 2015. So we're reaching the end of that study period, but we're still following the conclusions and recommendations in that study. However, we are recommending lower rate increases than were recommended in the rate study because there have been cost savings over those 5 years. I'll start with the Lakewood Water Utility. We serve about 730 customers in the northeast corner of town. The lower left corner of the slide shows the full city, and the black area is the service area. There are 20 other providers in the rest of the city. So the rates you're setting tonight are only for the customers in this service area. The utility does not have any water treatment facilities. We purchase all of the water we distribute from Denver Water, and that accounts for about 84% of the operating costs of the utility. Denver Water has indicated they're raising the cost by 2.28% for 2015. That's to cover a lot of their major capital investments and their work in distributing the water to us. The remaining expenses for the utility are our costs for distributing that water within our system. We are proposing to pass through a portion of the Denver Water increase. For comparison, we use a typical customer. That is a single-family customer with a 3/4 inch tap. That customer uses about 6,000 gallons of water every month. We bill bi-monthly, every 2 months, so they use about 12,000 gallons in that 2-month period. We're proposing to leave the service charge as is, and we are proposing to put through a portion of the Denver Water increase in the usage charge, which results in an increase of about $1.08 for each bi-monthly bill. The Lakewood Sewer Utility serves a slightly bigger area, about 7,000 customers in the north third of Lakewood. There are 21 other providers in the rest of the city. As with the water utility, the sewer utility does not have any wastewater treatment facilities. All of our sewage goes to Metro Wastewater Reclamation District. And that accounts for about 73% of our operating costs. Metro has indicated they are increasing our fees to treat wastewater by 11%. And that's, again, to fund their major capital investments, which are mainly to meet stricter environmental standards. We are proposing to pass through a portion of that increase. Again, The typical customer is a single-family home that uses 12,000 gallons of water over a 2-month period in the winter. The sewer rates are based on winter water use, so it's only the water that's used in the home that reaches the sanitary sewer, not irrigation flows that don't get to the sanitary sewer. So we're proposing to leave the service charge as is and pass through a portion of the increase in the usage charge. And that results in a bi-monthly bill increase of $3.12. We also have 2 wholesale accounts in the sewer utility. It's the West Alameda Heights Sanitation Services, Inc. and Bonneview Water and Sanitation District. They are small districts that collect sewage and then discharge them into our system, and it's treated at Metro Wastewater. We have to charge them for that treatment component, and those rates are increasing as well. Each year we follow a similar process. We notified our customers of both utilities on November 21st that Council would be considering a rate update tonight. And as a result of that notification, we received 7 calls from sewer customers, no calls from any of the water customers. Most of the calls were related to specific questions about their bill and what we could predict for the increase on their specific bill. If you do approve the rates tonight, we'll send out a final notification. The effective dates are in January for each of the utilities, and the first bills will go out in spring and due in April and March. That completes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Sure. Thank you, Ann. First, the obvious one, I think I heard you say in both presentations, water and sewer, that we're passing on just a portion of the increases that are being given to us as a city by First Denver Water and then Metro Denver Wastewater. Why just a portion?
That's correct. We are passing through just a portion. The utilities are healthy financially, and we're able to absorb part of that increase in each utility.
Okay. Councilor Paul?
I would just thank you for your presentation. I know that through the years you've always tried to really make it affordable for the consumer and the best that we can, so I appreciate that. Does the utility offer budget billing?
We do not at this time.
Okay. And is that something that maybe in the future we could look at if we continue to see increases, which I imagine we will? We won't be able to absorb them for forever, but that will at least help people be able to maybe budget out a year.
We can look at that. Yeah.
All right. No more questions. Thanks, Ann. Great job. All right, Mr. Council President. Wait a minute. Let's first of all see if we have any public comment on any of the resolutions on the agenda absent item 12, because that was pulled for general business. All right, with that we will close public comment portion. I'm ready for a motion on the consent agenda absent item 12, if you would read it in that manner.
Mayor Murphy, I move for the approval of the council minutes, for acceptance of the minutes of the boards and commissions, and for adoption of resolutions minus item 12, all of which are included in the consent agenda items introduced into the record by the city clerk.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for the consent agenda with acknowledging the removal of resolution 2014-41, which is item 12. Any comment, discussion from City Council? If not, please cast your votes. And the consent agenda passes unanimously, again, absent item 12. All right. On to general business. We have 2 items now. We'll deal with them in the order in which they came in. The first item was a request by Councilor Koop to somehow give direction to staff to continue the process of looking for partnerships and so on with ArtSpace. Councilor Koop.
See if I put this together right. Mayor Murphy, I make a motion to direct staff to continue exploring the viability of an ArtSpace project in Lakewood and identify possible partners in that project, and to report back to council of the progress. That work?
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councillor Paul and then Councillor Kellen.
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciated the in-depth presentation that we had at 40 Weston. It's a really nice presentation, a lot of cool things. For just clarification purposes, Councillor Coop, no funds to be authorized at this time, correct?
No funds.
Thank you.
Councillor Kellen?
I just want to speak in support of the motion. I think what we learned, was it last week, at the workshop was more about the wonderful work that's being done by the 40 West Arts District and 40 West in general to try to rebuild West Colfax into a vibrant place again. And I think having this kind of facility, or at least looking at the options around it, makes perfect sense for helping to give that kind of boost to this neighborhood that we listened to testimony earlier today. The neighborhood clearly needs a hand up, and this is a great opportunity to try to help give it a hand up. Not a hand out, a hand up.
Thank you. Councillor Quinn.
Thank you. Yes, that was an excellent presentation we heard last week for our study session. And one of the things we need to keep in mind is it's really all about creating productive places, placemaking, and look at what a street really does and how it functions as a way of creating productive areas for activities. And ArtSpace, I think, is potentially an excellent example of that. So I support the motion. I think we should move forward with work on that and get an update at some point when there's more to talk about. But it's certainly very exciting for Lakewood's future, and we're looking forward to hearing more about it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Coop, I also appreciate the motion and the sentiment behind it very much. I've personally been involved in this for the 2 years that Bill Marino mentioned earlier, and also had the opportunity to visit Art Space's headquarters in Minneapolis a few weeks ago and actually see the much overused word catalytic effect of these of their projects. It is simply remarkable. They have 38 around the country right now. They're batting 1,000 in terms of successful development of these projects, and what they do for the neighborhoods is just, it has to be seen to be believed. We had a chance to spend some time in an area of St. Paul called Lower Town, now called Lower Town, that when ArtSpace moved in 1989 was, in their words, not mine, kind of a bombed-out warehouse district, and it is now just an incredibly vital area that is anchored by two very large ArtSpace redevelopment projects, and just the vitality, the energy, the economic development that's going on there is simply phenomenal. Has to be seen to be believed. So, I highly encourage this. Let's keep talking about ways to find partners, and let's try to get this project to Lakewood if we can. So, thank you, Scott, for making that motion. Please cast your votes. We have,
Do you want to bring?
Okay, that's fair. All right, please cast your votes. We need to lock out Cindy. I don't mean lock the doors. I mean. All right, so the motion of Councillor Coops passes unanimously, and Councillor Barraway made the very proper decision not to vote on a motion that she had not heard. So thank you for doing that. All right, second item on general business is item 12, which is Resolution 2014-41, which is approving an employment agreement between the City of Lakewood and the city manager, and authorizing the city employee relations director to implement all provisions of the employment agreement. This is, I'll just start out introducing the topic by saying the employment agreement is a public document. It has been on the website since Friday morning. City Council did have an executive session about this a week ago, Monday, December 1st. It's our job as a board of directors. We're in a council manager form of government. And in that form of government, the City Council is the board of directors. We set policy. And we, in turn, hire a city manager, a chief executive officer to implement that policy. Good CEOs are hard to come by. And good CEOs in the public sector, i.e. government, are particularly hard to come by. Kathy Hodson has just celebrated her 30th year of full-time employment here at the City of Lakewood. She also initially just passed her 5-year benchmark as the city manager in the City of Lakewood, and is doing an outstanding, remarkable, marvelous job. I certainly believe, and I think much of council believes, it is in the interest of the city, given the sort of movement in that city manager area. I think the average tenure of a city manager in this country is 3 years. We've already enjoyed Kathy's presence for 5 years. I think it's in the best interest of the organization and of the City of Lakewood in its entirety to retain Kathy for the remainder of her career. And at the same time, I think it's in the interest of the taxpayers to do so in a manner that gives a finite number. We know exactly what that final cost to the taxpayers is going to be. So it's a combination retention plan and along with fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers. So that's what's behind this new agreement. It's customary for CEOs and city managers to have an employment agreement. Ms. Hodson already does. This would simply be replacing her existing employment agreement and hopefully retaining her for the remainder of her career here in Lakewood. Councilor Wickman, you pulled it. Comments?
In the age-old debate between the means versus the ends, I'm not going to have any debate tonight about the performance of the manager or the agreement itself, but I do have some concerns about the process, and I think, as everybody knows, process is very important to me. It's been emphasized, as you just again did tonight, that we have two major functions. The first one being to pass the laws, and the second one is we have only 2 employees that we manage, and that's the manager and the city attorney. And this is not something we do every year. This is something that happens very rarely. So this is a very important task that we're taking on tonight. And it seems to me that we've spent a 1-hour meeting discussing. We've looked at it for 7 days, even though we've known this is coming up for months now. And now we put it out 3 days before it's due, so we have no input from the public. And we're essentially, we tried to put it on a consent agenda. It just seems to me that we're giving this the real short shift. And for something of this consequence, I would like to give it some time, and so therefore I would move that we table this for 1 month.
Table is not an appropriate motion. You want to continue it to a date certain?
Yeah, that's correct.
What would that date be?
Let's say the end of January. I don't have the calendar in front of me.
All right, so the next regularly scheduled council meeting would be January 11th, 12th. Who's got a calendar? I'm sorry, we need to be proper about the motion. Wait a minute, I got a calendar right here. What's the date? So, January 12th? So you would move to continue this to a date certain of January 12th?
Yes, sir.
2015. All right. Seeing no second, the motion dies. Public comment? Look who's here.
Good evening. My name is Diana Wilson. I live at 9066 West Colorado Place. It's very odd to be here. I have not been back in the council chambers since I left office, so it feels a little weird. But I did see this topic on the agenda, and I wanted to come and speak in support of Kathy. And in particular, I was on council when she was hired the first time, and I think we were very conservative with her contract, partly because of public perception. And I think when the public sees a person that's in municipal government getting paid a certain level, they're like, oh, that's so much money. And I wanted to come out and I wanted to reassure you that in the current contract, from what I can tell, what I saw was online and the numbers that were thrown out, what you're offering Kathy is pretty much the market for what a city of our size is paying. I work in Westminster currently. The city manager there makes significantly more than Kathy's making now. And she kind of, in all honesty, kind of sold herself short in her last contract on what kind of raises she could get. It's nice to see in this current contract that her raises are a little bit more fair. And you don't automatically get raises when you're a city manager. They're all merit-based, just like everybody in Lakewood. And I think at least there's some room there to reward her if she does a good job. So wanted to come out and talk a little bit about that, and also say city manager is not an easy job. You have 1,000 employees that you're ultimately responsible for, roughly $150 million budget. And although I love you all dearly, council of 11 people to manage, and I got to tell you that can't be a piece of cake every day, because that's 11 very different people up there that you're trying to keep happy and still get the business of the city to move forward. So it's a tough job. She's done a good one. She definitely deserves to come back, and you should hold her as long as she does do a good job. So just wanted to encourage you to pass this contract, and also to those of you who put it together. I think it's very fair, and I think it shows Kathy that we value her. And not easy to find a good city manager, so you want to keep the ones you've got, and the hiring process is always a little stressful because, I was in on that as well as for the city attorney and for our head municipal judge. And boy, your heart starts pounding because these people are going to affect the future of your city. And in this particular case, we hired a good one, and I suggest that you keep her. Thank you for your time.
Wow, nice job down there in the pit. Good job. Thanks, Diana. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, public comment is closed. I'll just add a few more things. Diana's comment about raises triggered one more thought. Kathy's original agreement, as Diana alluded to, she may have sold herself short a little bit in the negotiations. Her original agreement calls for a yearly salary increase that is the average of the entire workforce here. And yet we are an organization that does a performance-based pay. So the rest of the organization gets evaluated and gets raises based on their performance. Kathy, kind of institutionally by contract, gets an average raise, and she's never rated average. So there's a real disconnect there between the job she's doing and the evaluation and the compensation she's getting each year for that. A couple of other quick observations. I think, and I've said this many times in many different contexts, but one of the reasons for the sort of ongoing success of this city, and think about Lakewood, and you can talk about Belmar, you can talk about our unmatched parks, trails, and open space system, the growing businesses and the sales tax revenue and all that. One of the fundamental reasons for that strength, we're a city that is looking at potentially 10 straight years now of adding money to our fund balance every single year, spending less than we took in. And through that all, with no employee layoffs, no furloughs, we found a way to give employees those performance-based increases every year. And we reduced taxes in the process. And it's an extraordinary success model. And the key to that success has been this continuity of leadership that we've had at the executive level and frankly at the policy level. So I think it's very much in the interests of the organization who would like to see some certainty and continuity, and therefore very much in the interests of this community, the city as a whole, to try to retain Kathy for the remainder of her career. So I guess I've said just about enough. Councilor Barraway?
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. This contract is very fair to both, as the mayor said, to the citizens of Lakewood as well as to Kathy. The earlier one, as mentioned, did kind of put her into that average range, and she's not. Kathy's been recognized by her peers throughout the region as well as the nation. She's one of the outstanding city managers throughout our country, and the fact that she wants to stay here and continue to lead the city of Lakewood, we should do whatever we can to make sure that happens. And for that reason, I will be voting in favor of this contract, but also because I don't think we can find somebody else that could step into the shoes of Kathy. And we were voted one of the best places to work in the Denver region when Kathy was a city manager. And that's a difficult thing to do when we've had the recession back in 2008. And as the mayor pointed out, we had no layoffs. We continue to put money into our reserve fund. That shows true leadership. It also shows we haven't lost any of our directors either. And thank you. Some of you are sitting in the audience tonight. That also shows that we have a good leader here when you don't have any directors leave. And many of those directors were her peers prior to her becoming the city manager. That speaks volumes to the type of woman we have and the type of leader we have with Kathy Hodson. And I just can't say enough on how fair she's been in the contract negotiations and putting this together. This is not about Kathy wanting the limelight. This is about Kathy wanting to stay in Lakewood and continue to be a leader for our city and for our citizens. And I just can't say enough other than thank you very much, Ms. Hodson.
Thank you. Councilor Coop?
Yes, I would agree completely with Councilor Barraway. I'd like to speak of the contract itself, which I appreciate the simplicity of this contract and how it's put together. It's a very complex position with a lot of complex duties, and this thing is basically just about 6 pages long. I've seen other contracts for the CEOs of organizations this size, which are incredibly complicated to figure out. So I just want to pass along to the staff that actually put this document together on the simplicity and how easy it is to understand, but yet how thorough and how it takes in all the points which Kathy deserves and it's not just about the money either. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilor Harrison?
I want to talk about one other thing because of the fact that our fiduciary responsibility here as counselors is that not only do we look out for or appreciate the work that Kathy's done, but our jobs also are to look out for the future of Lakewood. And in this contract, what I like about it is should she decide to retire, let's call it that, there is a definite process in which any kind of severance pay that she might have or retirement would be put aside for her and into an annuity, which eliminates, that transfers the risk from the city payroll onto an annuity, and she would actually have the benefits coming from that annuity. So that's a win-win, I believe, for both of us. I'm speaking from the insurance agent side. No, I don't get to write that annuity. I tried, and they said no. But
that's a joke.
It is a joke. It truly is a joke. Sorry, I should be clearer about that. No one gets my cynical sense of humor. But I would say that we did a good job, or we, as in all of us that were involved in looking at this contract, of transferring the risk from the city and to an insurance company, which they should have lots deeper pockets, we hope, than what the city would ever have. So I think that's a really good plan, and I like it. I'll be supporting this.
Thank you. I agree. It is not it's not one of those much maligned defined benefit plans. It's more of a defined contribution plan in a sense that, as I said earlier, this is a very finite and predictable amount of severance. So, all right, I'll just say one last thing before we vote. So many times people say, why doesn't government run like business, right? And I think what you've heard tonight is you have a government here in the city of Lakewood that really does try to run like a business, and I've used terms like board of directors and CEO. We really are an organization with a board of directors of 11 people, with a staff of 900 people that serves a customer base of over 146,000 people, our residents, plus all of those that come in to work here in Lakewood every day. And we really do try to run this public entity like a business. And I think we do a doggone good job of that. And one of the main reasons we do that is because we have a phenomenal CEO at the helm. So I will obviously be supporting it as well. All right. If there are no more, we need a motion. Thank you.
I move for the adoption of Resolution 2014-41.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. And the motion passes 10-1. The no vote is Councilor Wickman. And I would like to publicly thank our Employee Relations Director, Jeff Dolan, and our Finance Director, Larry Dorr, who did so much of the work, the detail work in putting this agreement together. Thank you, gentlemen, very, very much. As you heard up here, it was extremely well done, and it benefits the organization and the city, so thank you. All right, on to Mayor and Council reports. I just want to spend a minute or two talking about Jim Ritchie. We just spent the last several minutes talking about Kathy Hodson, our city manager, and Kathy and Jim were dear friends, and Jim was the first mayor of Lakewood. Jim passed away the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Jim was 88 years old. He was a great friend to all of us. He truly, and it's not hyperbole to say this, he truly was the father of this city. He led the effort, the fifth effort at incorporation, and finally successful effort in 1969. Jim was, you can't say this about many people, but Jim was truly a great man. He was one of the last of the courtly gentlemen. He's the kind of guy that when you sat down across the table from him or next to him, you were the only person in his life. You know what I mean? He just had a sparkling and sometimes slightly dry and wicked sense of humor. He was a man of great vision for this community. He's the man who wanted the Lakewood Police Force to be something a little bit different. He thought that one way of starting out down that pathway was requiring a 4-year college degree. And this is 1969 we're talking about, a 4-year college degree for would-be Lakewood police agents. And look where we are now. I think by far the most respected police department in the state of Colorado and one of the most respected in the country. We've moved, kind of losing track of the number, but I think 68 individuals have gone on to become chiefs or sheriffs, in other words, heads of law enforcement organizations throughout the country that have been trained the Lakewood way. That is truly one of Jim's great legacies. His other legacy is his family. If you were at the service, he was above all a family man, and his widow Betty and his three surviving children were there, along with many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Jim loved his family. Jim loved his wife. He loved his family, and he loved Lakewood very properly in that order. And I'll just close by saying he was, and I've said this many times, he was a great friend, but he was a mentor to many of us. He established an ethic of professionalism and integrity that permeates this organization to this day. So a lot of great things have been said about Jim. They're all true. We will miss you, pal. All right. Adam.
Well said, Mayor. And for those that were able to go to the services, it was pretty cool to hear the history and hear Mayor Linda Shaw talk about the stories about Jim and the fact that he had come to her in the early 90s and said, "You're going to give the eulogy at my funeral." And so he had everything planned out. But she had mentioned, and you can go on our website, and we have some of our history folks here tonight, but you can go on the city's website, and there's some video recordings of Mayor Ritchie and kind of talking about the formation in the beginning of the city. Fascinating stuff, and it's really cool to be a part of that and be able to sit up here and carry on kind of the vision that he had for our community. And I would also say tomorrow's Colorado Gives Day. We heard that mentioned. There's lots of fantastic nonprofits in our community that are signed up, so go ahead if you have the ability to do that. That's fantastic. And then I had the opportunity to represent the city at a dedication at Bethlehem Lutheran Church on 20th and Wadsworth. They've done a new expansion, and they had some folks, Mayor Pro Tem McGough from Arvada was there. It was a great celebration. They're doing great things, as many of our faith-based folks are doing in the community, but it was cool to go there and represent the city. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Coop. Councillor Shakti. Councillor Roybal. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. I misspoke at our last meeting. Actually, Ward 1 City, our Ward 1 meeting will be canceled for December, so please don't come. We are postponing the agenda until January, and we're going to be talking about the extremely important issue of the comprehensive plan. So please join us on the third Saturday in January at 9 o'clock at St. Paul's Episcopal Church. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Quinn.
Thank you. And we have canceled the Ward 5 meeting for December, and we'll start up again in January. I also wanted to mention a couple of weeks ago attended the National League of Cities Congress of Cities conference in Austin, where I represented Lakewood on the Transportation Infrastructure Services Committee. We had some very good discussions about transportation issues, and it was interesting that what we're doing or talking about in Lakewood with connectivity and multimodal transportation is very much in line with the policies established by the National League of Cities Transportation Committee. We're really working together, moving in the same direction. It's interesting to see at the national level, all of us working together in a nonpartisan way towards the same goals. So thank you very much.
Thanks. Councillor Barraway.
I have a broken record. We will not have a Ward 2 ward meeting this month either. And also thank you guys for your indulgence. I was a little late. My daughter is graduating from culinary school, and tonight was the night that they cooked a dinner for us. And so I made it all the way to dessert. It was an Elvis sandwich.
Like peanut butter?
Peanut butter and caramelized banana and marshmallows, and it was very, I made it through dessert and got here, so thank you.
Did you bring some extras?
I did not. I asked her to bring some home with her.
Thanks, Councillor Kellen. Councillor Wickman.
Two things. Actually, we will have a Ward 4 Town Hall meeting this Saturday at 9:30, and we're going to have two special guests. We will have our police agent that kind of covers our area is going to be there to answer some public safety questions, and we're also going to have an RTD member there to take some input about RTD issues. And then I'd like to, on a personal note, take a opportunity to shout out to Lockheed Martin. I think, as everybody knows, it's a company that exists here in southern Jefferson County, and they build the Orion manned space capsule, which is going to be the successor to the space shuttle. It will be the capsule that we send to Mars. Well, anyway, they recently had their first successful launch last week, and I had the opportunity to be part of a delegation from the Jeffco Economic Development Council. My daughter and I got to go down there at our personal expense, of course, to go and see the launch. And it was very exciting, of course, to do the launch. But on top of that, they gave us all sorts of opportunities to do behind-the-seat tours that the average folks don't get to do. So we got to go into the vehicle assembly building, where they put together the Apollos and the space shuttles. We got to see the new company, SpaceX. Their facilities, and on and on. So, like I said, a real shout out to Lockheed Martin and NASA. Thank you for a very good launch.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison.
Yes, I want to say a big thank you to the Lakewood Symphony Orchestra and the Colorado Mormon Chorale for putting on an absolutely wonderful Christmas concert on Friday evening at the LDS Church on Jewel. Those of us that were lucky enough to be there, we got a treat. And I just want to say thank you to all those people with all that talent. Thank you.
Thank you. Margie, anything? Tim? Nanette?
No report.
All right. Thank you all. We're adjourned at 8:25.